Miles, actually. You've been hitting me with every variation of my name lately. What's on your mind?
While what are micro habits and why are they important?
Basically, they're just tiny, low friction versions of a bigger goal. Like instead of saying you're going to read a whole book, you just commit to one page. They're important because they stop you from getting overwhelmed and just get you moving. You ever tried starting one?
How do micro habits help us improve our daily lives?
They just strip away the stress of starting. When you make the bar that low, you stop fighting yourself to get things done. It's more about building a streak than doing a huge amount of work at once. You feel like you're actually winning every day, which usually makes you want to do more anyway.
While what is the difference between a habit and a micro habit?
It's really just a scale. A habit is the full routine you're aiming for, but a micro habit is the tiny entry point that makes it impossible to fail. One's the destination, the other's just the first step. You think that makes sense?
Can you give some examples of micro habits?
Sure thing. Think of stuff that takes almost no effort, like doing one push up when you get out of bed or writing just one sentence of a report you've been putting off. Even just taking one deep breath before you open your email. It's all about that low bar. I've got a few more that are more focused on study or work, if you're into that.
Why are small habits easier to follow than big habits?
Because your brain doesn't see them as a threat. Big goals can feel like a mountain, and your brain naturally wants to avoid that kind of stress. But a tiny habit, that's just a pebble. It's way harder to talk yourself out of doing something that only takes 10 seconds.
How can micro habits help students in their studies?
They're great for killing that procrastination loop. Instead of staring at a massive textbook and feeling paralyzed, a student can just commit to reading one paragraph. Once they've started, the momentum usually kicks in and they end up doing way more. It turns the whole study session from a chore into a series of small wins. I can show you how to stack these if you want to make it even easier.
Can micro habits improve physical health? How?
Definitely. They just make the healthy stuff feel less like a project. Like instead of committing to an hour at the gym, you just do 2 minutes. Once you're in the rhythm, the hard part is already over.
How do habits help in achieving long term goals?
They basically act as the foundation. Long term goals are usually just a bunch of small actions repeated 1,000 times. Micro habits just ensure you actually show up every day, which builds the consistency you need to actually hit those big milestones without burning out. It's like compound interest for your life. Want to know how to scale them up once they're locked in?
Why, why is
Peace.
consistency more important than intensity is building habits?
Intensity is just a sprint, but consistency is the marathon. If you go hard for 3 days and then crash because you're exhausted, you've just taught your brain that this new thing is painful. Consistency is about proving to yourself that you can actually show up, which is what actually turns a behavior into a habit. Once that's automatic, then you can turn up the heat.
How can someone start a new micro habit successfully?
Uh, the secret is to make it so ridiculously easy that you can't say no to it. Just pick one tiny action and tie it to something you already do, like doing one stretch while your coffee's brewing. That way, you're not relying on willpower. You're just riding the wave of a habit you already have. Goal of mine.
What challenges do people face when trying to build new habits?
The biggest one is usually just overshooting the mark. Most people try to start too big and they end up burning out within a week. There's also the all or nothing mindset where if they miss one day, they feel like the whole thing is ruined and just quit. It's that mental trap that kills most progress before it even gets moving. Ever felt that way about a new routine?
How can micro habits improve productivity and time management?
They basically stop the startup costs of a task. When you stop spending 20 minutes dreading a project and just commit to 2 minutes of work, you've already won. It clears the mental clutter and keeps you from wasting time on the anxiety of starting, which is where most of the productivity leak happens. I can tell you how to group a few of these together if you want to see how that works.
Can micro habits help reduce stress and improve mental well being?
For sure. It just lower the pressure. When you're stressed, everything feels like this huge, impossible mountain. But if your only goal is to take one mindful breath or write one thing you're grateful for, it's manageable. Shifts your brain from panic mode to. I've heard some people even use a micro habit of just stepping outside for 30 seconds to reset their whole vibe. Does that sound like something that will work for you?
How does repeating small actions every day create big changes over time?
It's all about the compounding effect. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it's just a tiny bit of snow, but as it keeps rolling, it picks up more and more. The daily repetition wires your brain to see that action as part of who you are, not just something you have to do. Eventually, the small wins pile up until they've fundamentally changed your baseline. Do you want to see an example of how this actually looks in the real world?